All right, we're live.
We are live. So, hey, everybody. Happy Monday and welcome
Monday.
to this month's episode of Wine Writers Wrap Up. And today I have two guests with me, Debbie Giaquindo, my co-host of Wine Street, and Michael Kelly. And I'm pretty excited about what we're going to talk about tonight. We are talking about the concept of drink now or drink later, and kind of more generalized of how do we decide when to drink a bottle of wine. But before we get into that, I'm going to let my guests introduce themselves. So we're going to do ladies first. Go ahead, Debbie, introduce yourself.
Thanks. I'm Debbie Giaquindo. I'm known as the Hudson Valley Wine Goddess. I'm a wine blogger and writer. I am author of Tapping the Hudson Valley, which is a book about day trips and weekend itineraries visiting the Hudson Valley wine region. And I'm co-host with Lori on Wine Street. And I'm also a partner in a restaurant in Stone Harbor, New Jersey called Kitchen 330. And we're hosting Wednesday our first wine dinner with Bontora Wines. So I'm kind of excited about that. And I think that's it in a short nutshell.
All right. And my next guest is Michael Kelly. So go ahead, Michael.
I just happen to know Debbie and Lori via the ether, and that's my claim to fame. And I do some writing, and for my own website, a judge on some competition in the Sierra foothills in California, and do all kinds of oddball writing and things of that sort.
All right. And I'm Lori. My husband Michael and I own Dracena Wines, a boutique winery in Paso Robles, California. We are known for our award-winning Cabernet Franc, though we also do have a rosé of Syrah. And soon, we will be producing a white wine, so we can have a whole complement there for you guys. We have sold out of our Cab Franc every year, and next Monday, 1 week from today, is going to be our release of our 2016 Cab Franc, which we are extremely excited to let everybody get a taste of. So thanks, Debbie and Michael, for joining me. And are we ready to drink? That's kind of the important part.
Absolutely.
All right. So, Michael, water?
I know. I didn't know it was a prerequisite.
Oh. Well, I guess it's not a prerequisite. It's just kind of normal.
Yeah. Well, I'll have some after this for dinner.
All right. Yeah, it's a little bit earlier for you. Debbie and I have probably been already touching it for quite some time now.
Yeah. 5 o'clock.
I think that's the worst part of Wine Street is that we've now agreed to not drink until Wine Street has started.
That waiting is killer.
It is tough. It is tough. So, Debbie, what do you have in your glass tonight?
What do I have? I have a Grenache, which is being featured tomorrow on Wine Studio from Particular.
Oh, I've had that.
Yes, and this is a 2017.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear about the label because it's kind of,
Yeah, it's a very cool label.
Yeah.
I had their Chardonnay also.
Oh, did you? It's interesting that this retails like for $8.99.
I know.
Crazy. Crazy.
So last Wednesday, my blog post was about the region, Carignano region. And so I talked about that wine, and so it was about that. And I figured it was a good release time for Grenache Day.
Yes.
But I needed to celebrate the end of the day. So I am having bubbles, and I am having Balletto 2013 Brut Rosé. And this is from the Russian River Valley, so Sonoma County. And it's one of my favorites. I actually do love Balletto wines. So as you can see, I've kind of helped myself quite a bit today. But it's been a while. I had it with dinner. I shared a little with dinner. And I'm actually also using my little Capabunga bubble cap, which I absolutely.
Oh, they have a bubble cap now too?
They do. They do.
So did you want to know my geyser?
Absolutely. Fill us in on your agua.
This was circa 3 weeks ago. 1 week in transit, 1 week on the store shelf, and 1 week in the refrigerator.
And you chose it tonight because
it was refreshing.
Well, slancha, everybody.
Sriracha.
All right. So one of the big topics or one of the big questions that I get asked quite a bit is, when do you know to open a bottle of wine? And how do you know whether you should open a bottle of wine? And quite honestly, I think it's a lot easier in today's world because of the technology. I think that, like our tasting notes give a recommendation to somebody for when would be the best time to open it by. And you've got Cellar Tracker or Delectable. You've got all.
So I got a question for you though. How do you determine that?
We
You'll need to unlock your iPhone first.
Sorry, new phone. Don't know what's going on. It just decided to talk to me. Mike actually kind of determines that, but it goes by the tannin structure, and really Cab Franc itself is a more delicate's probably not the right word, but a softer wine than Cabernet Sauvignon. So it doesn't lend itself to the long, shelf life that a Cabernet Sauvignon does. We recommend 5 years, 3 to 7 years, around there. And it also depends on what you're looking for in that bottle, but yeah, Mike kind of determines that by more like the tannin level and the fruit level, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, it's but I think Cab Franc in general, New World Cab Franc, let me say, New World Cab Franc is definitely more of a younger drinker than some other wines.
Okay.
But
so that's kind of it. So I'm just looking through my I print out the cellar once a month, and almost everything in here is between 10 and 11 years. This one's 13 years for Cab Francs.
New World?
New World, all New World.
Really? Those are some big Cab Francs.
These are all big Cab Francs, absolutely. Yeah.
So they're probably cooler weather Cab Francs than what we have.
Yeah. Mostly from Napa.
Yeah, so you've got a little cooler weather. We're warmer weather Cab Franc, so that's another thing. It's a different profile than a cool weather Cab Franc. I think Debbie, your Hudson Valley Cab Francs are probably 7 to 10 years.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so the climate at which you're growing at provides a different profile.
Yeah.
Oh, I just heard from Tina. She said that she emailed you. She's in bed, sick.
Oh, okay. Okay. All righty. Boy, lots of people sick today. That's so sad. I go with the change of the barometric pressure. Makes people sick. Yeah. All right. So let's get into it. So I think I know these answers, but for the people who are watching or listening in, do you guys consider yourself a drink now or a drink later person?
I think for me, it depends on the wine.
Okay.
More whites, drink now.
Mm-hmm.
Reds, I tend to cellar.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, some of them I drink, but if you look at my wine cellars,
mm-hmm.
there's It's probably 97% red.
Okay. And
A lot of
what's your
them-
average year in there? That's your
You know, my it goes back as far as 99.
oh.
I have a 99. Was it 99? I think I have a 99 Opus 1 in there.
Oh, that's always one.
I'm gonna have to quote it. I have, you know, but here's well, I'll let Michael go because then I have a question.
Okay.
So before we moved, we just recently moved up here to the foothills in Sierras. We probably only had 5% Chardonnays and Roussins, etc. So of the whole cellar, so everything else was heavy reds, really heavy reds, and that was everything is set up to store 8 to 10 years.
Mhm.
And then we moved up here where the temperature during the summer we had 41 days of 100 degrees, and that we started buying more and more whites, both Sauv Blancs and Chardonnays, and we now have up to almost 30% of the cellar is to drink. Well, excuse me, 25% of that is drink Chardonnays, and 5% are still the Peter Michaels, the longer ageable 10, 15-year Chardonnays.
Okay. All right. See, Mike and I are very much drink now people. It may just be my bit of personality that I'm a little too hyper for anything on the face of this earth. But I would say, other than Cayuse, because we have Cayuse out the wazoo, and I think we've had them for 10, 13 years now. So we still have some vintages, you know, from the start. I would say our reds are, so you figure people are releasing the 16 now, so go 15. I'm going to say our probably 2009 is probably where we're at for oldest, but the majority are probably younger than that are in our cellar. We tend to drink within 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. And a lot of the recommendations from the wines that I'm buying are you can go up to 20, 25 years. And so I'm sitting there, but we tend to drink them at that 8 to 10 year period of time.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a bunch of older stuff besides that.
And now, do you use so you have like Cellar Tracker or something?
It's a proprietary software that I bought many years ago.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't even, it's like my software seller or my.
Oh, okay.
You know that one? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mike had gotten that like as a Christmas present.
I tried keeping track and stuff in my cellar, you know, computer wise, but I couldn't keep up with my cellar.
See, well, you know what? You have to do a move, because that's exactly how we did it, you know. So when we moved from New Jersey to California, I had to pack up all of our wine. So all of our wine went into boxes, and then because I wanted to know which boxes had which wine, I knew, you know, I numbered the
Right.
boxes. So I made a list of all of our wines. Then when we got to California and we were putting them into the cellar, as we were putting them into the cellar, we did Cellar Tracker.
So,
so that
when we moved from New York to New Jersey, I started to it, but I was just we have a lot of wine. And I was just I didn't have the time to sit and put it all in. But here's a question. Because when we moved,
Mhm.
I would say there was a good case and a half of wine that we had to dump because it was past its prime. And part of that is due to us, you know, going, oh yeah, we'll drink that later. We'll drink that later. And it was hidden in the back of the cellar.
Right.
Later never came.
Right.
You know? And then when we moved, we started to open it because, oh my God, look at this. This is a 1990 whatever. And it was vinegar.
Yeah, things get lost, and that I think is a big problem. And like, Cellar Tracker, there's recommendations for when to drink, but there's no like, hey, idiot, you forgot about this wine here. There's no, right. There's no alert for that. You kind of have to look for it. So, what is it? Michael's wine.
I don't know whether you can see that or not, the graphs on there.
No, I'm seeing year drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a graph. I'm trying to see where I can get it.
Pull it back a little.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
So what this is at the beginning of each year, see if I can pull it back a little bit. There you go.
Yeah.
So when on January 1st, I hit a button and it prints out the number of bottles. And so right now, when I was just up in Napa last weekend, we're buying out in this range here.
Okay.
So we don't need anything in the next 2 to 3 years. We're always buying out in this range.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the first of the year, it breaks it out into what am I actually going to drink in that year by varietal.
Wow.
Now that's not part of the software. That's just stuff I do on top of the software. Yeah.
See, I think that we, Mike and I, forget things are in there. Like
we do too.
I was looking through, when I was there the last time, and we're like, oh, let's have a Chardonnay, because whatever we were making for dinner, I was like, we'll have a Chardonnay. And then so I went into Cellar Tracker and I started typing in Chardonnay, and there was one from like 2013, and we're like, oh, like, where did that come from? So like we forget things are in there. And that can pose a problem. Even our, much adored Cayuse, we've drank some Cayuse that has been past its prime. And, you're like, damn, I've got like 4 more bottles of this, and it's, it's past its prime already. So I don't know if there's an answer. I don't know if there's an answer for it. I think that people tend to either be drink now people, or we're going to buy wine that is for the future type wine. And Michael, I think that's more you.
Yeah.
I will say one of the things that I learned from when I moved down here 5 years ago is that we now will, if we pull something out, where before we would say, oh no, let's keep that in there, that's got a couple more years, we'll open it and drink it.
Okay.
Yeah. So when the winemaker's notes will come, when I go up and taste something like this weekend, and it will be good for 25 years. Well, I don't know if I'm going to have 25 years. So I'm looking at the 8 to 10 range to drinking my wine. So then what I'll do is but let's say I buy a wine and they say it's 7 years. I mean, it's an oddball wine, and they say 7 years, good for 7 to 8 years. I'll guard band it by 2 years. And that's when I put it in, and then every bottle has 26 entries. And then I put that, and I guard band it by 2 years, where I bring out at least 1 bottle to taste.
Okay.
And then make a judgment at that point, whether to let it go over the 7 or 8 years, or bring it all in right now. And again, with being on software, you can change it and then just reprint it out the next month, and it all pops up again.
All right. So I was going to ask, so when Mike and I first got into wine, right, we were, very low on the totem pole of the business world. And our salaries were very equal to being low on the totem pole. So when we first started getting into wine, we would go, and I remember sitting in going to a winemaker's house. We didn't realize that was what was going to happen. We went to her house and we sat down, and she gave us, appetizers, and we sat down and we talked with her, and it was a Sauvignon Blanc. That's all she was, well, she had a Sauvignon Blanc and she had something else, but the Sauvignon Blanc. And we were there for like 2 hours, and it was our first real experience sitting with a winemaker and doing that. So we felt obligated to have to buy something, you know. And again, low man on, you know, didn't have a big salary or anything. And we decided we would buy a bottle of the Sauvignon Blanc, which we still kind of thought was, all right, we probably should buy more, but whatever. And the Sauvignon Blanc back then was $25. To us, that was like, you know, $100 bottle, $100 bottle, you know, now or whatever. But like a $25 Sauvignon Blanc, how do you, you know, how do you determine when you drink a Sauvignon Blanc? How do you determine, you know, she
Me,
never
that's a
told
drink
us
now.
what?
Me, Sauvignon Blanc is a drink now.
I agree with
I
you.
would say anything, 2-3 years tops.
Right. Do you agree, Michael? You're now drinking white wines, so
Yeah, well, white wine's on a more regular basis, as opposed to this sitting in it for 12 years with Peter Michael or something like that. Yeah, so I agree. The Sauv Blancs are a drink right now, and then we have what we call neighborhood wine. So when the
I
neighbor
think that's my Tuesday night wine.
so if a neighbor comes over and I say, "Do you like Chardonnay?" and they go, "Well, yes," and I said, "Well, do you like Old World or New World?" and they go, "Well, I like it with one ice cube." Then I know exactly
Right. Okay.
wine to give them,
Gotcha.
So, but we have a bunch of wine just for non-wine drinkers to drink.
Okay.
But the bulk of this is obviously good wine that we're holding for certain days and certain occasions, and those occasions are usually Monday through Sunday. But that's the kind of thing that you want to do, as opposed to somebody who doesn't appreciate good wine. You just want to give them something that's oh, this is lovely, this is wonderful, great, and be done with it.
Right. I think that I don't know. I think there's different personalities of how you want to drink wine. Now, since I've been to Bordeaux, I have gained a different appreciation, and I have now, I mean, I drank a 1949 wine, I'm like, and it was mind blowing how incredible that wine is. So I think I have started to look to purchase wines that can last, that can wait. I still don't know if I would be able to wait that long to drink a wine. But I don't know. I think that I, I don't think we have the personalities to have a wine that we can wait that long for.
Yeah. So what happened, and the reason why I'm this intense with all this paperwork and computerized things, we had bought in 1981, I think it was, a 77 Sassicaia that had won the world best wine at that time.
Okay.
And I had a broker go out and find me 6 bottles of it, and he did. And I kept one for a special occasion, opened it up, and it had gone bad. So so that was a combination of storage and temperature fluctuation more than the wine itself going bad. But from that point on, that's when I put the stake in the ground. So we're gonna monitor this wine, both humidity, temperature, and so I get text alerts if it goes outside the parameters of
Holy
humidity
cow.
and temperature in the cellar. Even when I was overseas in Europe last couple of weeks ago, I was getting my text and emails what was going on with the cellar.
Wow.
So I monitor all that stuff just to make sure nothing goes awry.
Wow. I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. But that's incredible. Like, and the other thing is so now what's your average? You guys go to a winery, you decide you're going to buy a wine. How many bottles do you typically buy of that same wine?
Again, it depends on, when I was working, we go in and buy a case without even thinking about it per se. Today, I'm probably doing the three to 6 bottles and then spreading those out. So then I spread those out over, they say they're good for 10 to 12 years. So I'll spread one, I'll taste one in 5 years, for example. Then if that's good, I have it set for 7 years, another one for 7 years, and just kind of go like that. And then if it starting to get a little copper edging on it, then I'll pull them in, that type of thing.
Okay, Debbie.
Well, it depends. If I'm on a wine trip, like me and my husband going to Napa, probably we'll buy 2 or 3,
right,
and do the same.
Yeah. So that's
at least two bottles. And I tell people, like, when they go wine tasting, is to buy at least 2 bottles of what you like. Go home, open it, and then open one other one later on.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that has changed is, we used to just buy single soldiers, buy one. And as we got older, and as we appreciated wine more, and as we realized that, we tend to buy, 2 or 3 of the bottles, and that's what we put in. And then we look at the cellar checker. Oh, well, we had this 2 years ago, and we said to drink it by this time. But we still can forget about it in the cellar. There's still, I don't have an alert that tells me, hey, we need to develop that app. Somebody needs to develop that app of, each wine sending you a little alert that says, you should be drinking this now. So actually, there's actually research. So Michael, you are way off the farm to the research. According to research, as much as 90% of the wine bought in the United States is drunk within 24 hours.
So that means there's a lot of people going to the liquor store to buy a bottle to drink that night. They're not stocking up, whether it's they don't have room for it.
Well, I think that might have a lot to do with it also. I don't know how many people actually have, I mean, you think of people who live in, New York City or something.
Sure.
There's, you've got 800 square feet.
What do you do?
What do you do? You're not really, you're not really having space to save a bottle of wine. So 90% within 24 hours. Michael, is that like nails on a board for you?
Yeah, no, I've heard those numbers before. In fact, I even heard 95% by a speaker one time. So,
well, 90. I'll finish the second part of it is 95% within a week.
That's what I heard. There you go. Yeah. That's exactly what I heard.
95% within a week.
Yeah, and it's really funny. We have in this community that we live in here, we have a wine society, and we're on the board. And somebody was here, and they said, well, they were going to host the event next time. They, we have to go get the wine. We have to buy some wine if we're going to host this. And it's like, you have to buy wine? It was just like foreign that I couldn't.
Well, for the people who want the ice cube in it.
No, well, but these are people on the board for the wine society. So I thought it was kind of funny. Whereas most people have at least some stash of wine at their house, they were going, well, when we hosted because we rotate where we host these board meetings, not the big meetings, but just the board meetings. And they're going, well, yeah, we're going to have to go ahead and when we host a we'll have to go out and get some wine. I'm thinking, that just didn't compute. And so we actually, my wife and I both asked the question, what do you mean you have to go get some wine? And they go, well, we have to, if we're hosting, we only have maybe a bottle in the house. And we just didn't understand that.
Wow. Yeah,
or maybe they're lying. They just don't want to give you the good stuff.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe that's what it is.
That might be it. I can't imagine having just a bottle. I mean, I'm like looking at my little stash I have here. And this is like the temporary housing. It's not even, this is just wine for me. And I've got 236 bottle, little shelves. And then I've got a 16 for just champagne or sparkling. So that's just here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's one bottle. I can't imagine that. But I do think that that's the, I mean, do you think that's we'll throw out that word, the millennials? You think, that's how they're going now?
Yeah, well, let me. I have two millennial daughters, so and one is a big wine drinker, and she has a stash of maybe 12 or 14 bottles. So she's a big user, and the other one probably has 3 or 4 bottles.
And I have two millennial kids too. My son, he has a wine jail that we gave him, and that he said is full. We gave him a wine club gift one year to California Wine Club that he keeps getting. So he's he has a stash, but my daughter is day of.
Damn.
Yeah.
And how long do you think your son holds the wine?
I don't think he looks at the wine as we do in terms of holding it and how well it's going to age. I think it's all about the event that he's going to drink it at, whether he's having people come over or whether he's bringing it to somebody's house for dinner.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and I also think it depends geographically because both daughters live in Livermore, right in the middle of the Livermore. So if they need wine, they just go to any winery they want. Within 5 minutes, they can get to 26, 28 wineries and get reasonably good wine.
Right. See, and that is a whole other thing. I mean, if you live in a wine region, you're surrounded by wine all the time. Granted, then you are drinking it within that 24-hour or that week concept, but
Right.
do you really need to have wine in your house if you can just run down the street and, hello,
Yeah.
Niner, I need a bottle of wine, I mean, all right. So all about rules. Okay. Do you have rules before you open a bottle? Is there any rule like, you look at a bottle and,
I think for me, it's not more of a rule, it's more of a mood.
Okay.
So, pull something out and it's like, should we drink this now? Is it within the date? Yes, but do I really want that? No, I don't want something that's bold. I want something lesser. Sometimes, so, and if it's the last one, if we have more than one, it's like, do we really want to do that?
Right?
Maybe we want to give it another year.
Michael, is that you too? Because Mike and I are that way too. Like when we've got 3 or 4 bottles of a particular wine, like, yeah, we'll open that now. Woohoo, whatever, it doesn't matter. But when you're down to that last one, you're like, ee.
Yeah, but that's why you have to keep replenishing it and keep a ongoing stash, as they say. So usually about 4 or 5 o'clock, I ask the wife when she's does babysitting, so she's gone a couple of nights a week. But I said for the grandkids, but I'll say, what's for dinner tonight? And she'll say chicken. I said, okay, what kind of chicken? So the other night she said, well, I'm doing a mesquite chicken. And I said, okay, well then so I go to the book is broken down, the whole inventory, but it's also broken down. All the wines to drink in 2018 are all listed by, that's what comes up for that drink list. It comes up, beginning of the year, 250 bottles to drink this year. And in that 250 bottles, I'll say, okay, what goes good? And I said, well, we do a Chardonnay, or we can do like a little bit of a spicy Grenache with the mesquite chicken, or we could do a Malbec, but we wouldn't go so heavy with a red that it would, like a Tinto de Toro or something that would just drown out the chicken. So it's really, we do it mostly on what we're having for dinner that night.
Okay. So I got to go back to your list, Mike, because you're blowing me away here.
I know, me too.
So you have this list that says these are the wines that you should drink in 2018.
Yes.
You created that, or is that part of that little wine app, program?
Yeah, it's part of the wine app. So I don't know whether you can see that or not. Tell me when if it's too close or too.
I
can see, but I can't read like what it says.
Okay, so what happens is, let me just take the last page so I can read the columns to you, since I can't read it.
Caneros.
So the first column is the winery name. Is the winery name, the vintage, the description, the appellation, the varietal, the rating, the unit value, and the location.
Okay.
And so this is what's left on the list, because every month I reprint it out from the beginning of the year from 1/1 of 2018 to now, and the date on this one is 9/20. So this was just printed 4 days ago.
Okay.
And
do
then
you drink, Michael? Do you drink all those wines that they tell you every year, or just some carry over to the following year?
Some might carry over to the following year, but I generally, we try our best to be fastidious, but but yeah. So if you look on, here's a Larkmead 2007 LMV Salon St. Helena, 97 points. Now I bought it at $80. Today, that same wine goes for about $160, $170 today. And so we just had one the other night, because we had like 3 or 4 that came up on the list to drink. But we had it with a nice steak.
Okay.
Is that so?
Yeah, so that wow. Like I guess we need that app. Like
I need that too.
We forget what's in there. So like I need something that says, hey, these are the wines that are in here that you have said, because Mike and I will taste and we'll say, okay, like you said, it may say, I'm whipping out a number. It may say drink in 2018, and you drink one in 2018 and say, no, we're pushing this back to 2022. And then in 2022, that sheet of paper, when you print that out, it's going to give you that now wine.
Right.
So
that's part of the app, but it's the 26, 28 entries for every bottle. It's a relationship database. So I can just sort 8 columns when I actually do the. So I spend a lot of time on this. So I do the spreadsheet to drink now. Then the rest of it is done just by the varietal, and it's sorted by varietal. The whole inventory is sorted by varietal. But this is the basic guide for what is going to happen in 2018, day in and day out. And again, right now, I think we're down to 7 pages, and it probably started out at the beginning of the year at like 20 pages.
Okay.
You drank a lot of wine.
You had some fun.
Well, and we tend to have a lot of friends and parties and things like that. So
when are we invited, Michael?
Well, anytime you guys want to. You're further away, but anytime you guys want to. So here's page 1. If you can see, I don't know whether you can see this or not. This is page 1 of this is the overall inventory. You see, the first one is Albarino and Amarone and Barbaresco, and then there's this one down the bottom of the page there. You might see that one.
67 Rothschild.
Yeah, there you go. So if for some reason, let's say we're having you name it, white truffles with dinner, and we wanted to have something, and not that we have those with dinner, but we do a little research and it says, hey, you really should have a Barolo, from 2000 or younger. We can simply go. Don't have to, and I don't find it in my to drink list. I can go to the varietals in the that might be scheduled for 2022, and I can pull that ahead.
All right. So I'm thinking in my head, this could just, I mean, we literally could just use a Google spreadsheet. It's just a matter of putting it into the spreadsheet, because then I can sort by whatever column is drink by.
Yeah, if
So
if you could do, yeah, if you could do a relational database, you could. It's even then you could even do a little bit more with it. That's all.
all right, all right. I might see my next summer, focus while I'm out in California. All right. All right. So is there any wines that you buy that, like, to me, like I said earlier, I had never had really a true experience with Bordeaux wines. And now that I've been to Bordeaux, I can see what that does. So in my brain, Bordeaux is now purchased now, and those babies are sitting. And I've purchased a few, and I even did some futures, um, to hold on to. Is there any regions like, or are we really more New World? Do we tend to stick to the United States, you guys?
I don't. I buy from all over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Michael?
And I'm predominantly, I will say though, my cellar is heavy on New World, like California and Oregon. But I try to buy others to, for, variety. And quite frankly, I get bored with just having California cabs or Oregon Pinot Noir. So, we got Burgundy Pinot Noirs. I've got Gruners from Austria. So,
Michael, what about you?
So I tend to rephrase. Why don't you rephrase the question again? It was.
So are the majority of the wines in your cellar from the United States? Are they, or do you buy old world type,
Right. So we used to collect. I used to collect wines from all around the world, and then I decided my wife really didn't like them. I wasn't that keen on some of them, so we finally just did a complete flush of the entire inventory, started over again, and we went. So what I collect primarily are cabs, cab francs, and chardonnays.
Okay.
But now on top of that, though, I go to a lot of lectures and buying opportunities for Spanish wines, which we love Rioja, and we love the Tinto de Toros, and we love the mostly Italian, Spanish, Carmenere from Chile, Argentina, some really heavy. We had a Remota, Finca Remota Malbec from 3,500 foot elevation. I mean, the other night. So these are heavy, heavy wines, but they're from different. They're all over. And then right now I'm going through a New Zealand Sauv Blanc phase of my life. So we're buying a lot of that, and so it just kind of goes around different areas. But I would say that the stuff that is stored and aged is almost Spanish, Italian, and U.S. and probably I'm going to say 70% U.S. and 50 age. The stuff that's aged 15% Italy, 15% Spain.
Oh, okay. All right. So we are definitely, Mike and I are definitely New World. I mean, we are California, Washington, Oregon. I mean, that's pretty much it. And I'm trying to get him now into the Bordeaux. I have a lot of whites. I mean, I love Albarino, and Mike enjoys the Albarino. But that, you're not real, Albarino is meant to drink within 2 years. But I think, do you have in your vision, in your brain, certain regions are just built to be stored? and sleep versus other regions?
I think a lot of the
winery to
California
winery
cabs that I buy are meant to be are meant to be cellared. Some of the Burgundies that we buy too, you know, are meant to be on hold. Whites, I tend to, you know,
right
3 years max.
Yeah, and I think the same thing. I mean, most of from our travels around, we spent a lot of time in Spain, spent a lot of time in Italy, France. We'll buy certain wines, the reds, to hold in those areas. The same with California, Northern California, whether it's even Alexander Valley, even parts of Sonoma Valley and Napa Valley. And even Livermore. I'm holding some Livermore wines, a lineage by Stephen Kent for 12 to 13 years. So it just depends on the area per se. But when I'm buying wines, is that, like I said, when I go out, the wines we bought this weekend are all going into the 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028 category. So, and I did buy 3 Sauv Blancs, which are more to drink now, and I bought 3 of a second label that Pam Starr from Crocker and Starr does.
Oh yeah.
Called Bridesmaids. That's her label, but that's still good for 5 years. But it's for us, it's an everyday kind of a wine.
Okay. All right. All right. So the other thing that comes up is that the general concept is that more expensive wines mean you lie them down longer, and cheaper wines you drink now. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the cheaper wines, you probably do need to drink them now. But more expensive wines, it doesn't mean price is not an indication on whether it's a good wine to age in your cellar or it to drink now. Because there's been wines that we've had that, you know, my husband's, we got to cellar this, and, you know, it went off on us, you know. So I really just think you have to really look at what you're purchasing.
Yeah, and that's why I never generally buy the wine unless I taste it first, and I can determine the structure and the tannins and the pH levels, and then make a determination, because it might just be bogus, or a little caption sign on somebody's end cap that says this is good for 10 years. You know, it's $16.99 and it's good for 10 years. And I'm going, I'm not going to buy that or take that on that basis. So usually I don't buy retail from anybody. And that's why I was trying to get down to see you, Lori, was to taste your wine first. I'm going to go on a limb and buy a bottle from you on Monday, okay?
Oh, I thank you.
It's on my day timer now, okay? So, but when you go, you want to make sure that I don't need any wine for 2018, 2019, 2020. Need a little bit of wine in 2021, and then kind of needs more out in time. So I don't. If I got a bottle of wine now to drink, let's just say $16.99, a bottle to drink for now, I don't need it. Even it's just a waste. Even at $16.99. So I'd rather in theory, I'd rather spend, like this weekend, we're buying $135 bottles of wine, 110. So but that's going to go down the road and hang out. And then by the time we go to drink it, that's going to be worth probably 2x the value at that point.
Right. And as Mike always says, he's like, yeah, but are you going to sell that wine? Like, we have Cayuse that, we paid $80 for, that's now like $300. And he's like, well, are you going to sell it? And I'm like, no, I'm drinking that baby,
Yeah.
So it's always a matter of whether or not you're willing to sell it. And if you have somebody who's going to buy it.
I've never sold a bottle of wine.
No, neither. Well, We've sold Dresita
Well,
wines. We've never sold from our
sure.
cellar. We've never sold from our cellar. So we are at 5 minutes left. So just want to know if there anything else you guys have to comment about your thoughts, final thoughts on drink now or drink later. Anything you want to mention?
I think don't wait for that special occasion. Drink it when you want to drink it.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes that special occasion does not come, and you're saving it and there's that bell-shaped curve and it might be over the top. So just enjoy it.
And I'll go that I don't worry so much about the bell-shaped curve because of all the pre-work that's done on the wine. Right. So I don't have a bottle that goes bad for the last 10 years or 12 years. But I read a great article by a good friend of mine up in Napa, and he was saying, don't be a collector to be a collector, be a collector to enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So at some point, it's you don't know what tomorrow brings. So while I put wine out there and I'm drinking wine that I put out 10 years ago now, if the mood hits me and I don't know what happens, the dog actually comes when I call it or something, I'll open a nice bottle of wine. I mean that's kind of a, you got to be a little bit, well, everything is all very anal relative to my wine keeping. At some point you got to be spontaneous at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's where the open that bottle night, that concept has come from, is, you have that bottle that you're waiting to drink. And maybe sometimes that wait never comes, and then you've missed out on it. So I agree, you've got to open that bottle when your dog comes, when you call him, man. Celebrate big.
Celebrate the moment. Celebrate the moment.
Celebrate the moment.
And that's why I'm drinking this, because the dog's not coming.
All right. So as we end every episode of Wine Writers Wrap Up, I have a riddle for you guys. So are you ready? You got your thinking caps on?
I'm ready.
Okay. So I am a protector. I sit on a bridge. One person can see through me. Others wonder what I hide. What am I?
Sunglasses?
Yes.
Oh, very good.
Oh my God, Deb, that's awesome. Like, I thought this was a tough one.
And I was just starting to go through each of the little sayings to figure it out. So nice going, Debbie.
Bridge of your nose. I was talking about glasses with Gus today, and these things on the bridge of your nose. So it just
popped.
Yeah. I thought that was a really tough one. I thought that was a tough one. So good job, Deb. Woo! And Deb,
the person sees out, you can't see in.
Yeah. Is
their sunglasses at our house last night? So
there you go. And I think is this your first? This is your first one, right? Or do you have one from before? Because Nick isn't here, and Nick gets them all. Like,
I didn't get it before. No, my first one.
All right. Woo! Congratulations. Drink to that.
I finished it.
All right. So I'm going to give you guys 1 minute now to give us a little wrap up for yourselves. Tell us what's going on in your life or anything that you want them to know, a blog post you want them to read and tweet or whatever. Give it up. Michael, you go first this time.
Let's see. Just did an article today on Viadaire.
I saw that.
Yeah, up on the lower part of Hell Mountain. And I'm going to Farm to Fork in Sacramento and doing a write-up for those folks this Saturday, and have about 4 articles in the works for more posts.
Awesome.
Great.
Awesome. And where can people find you, Michael?
HTTPS California Wines and Wineries, all one word, CaliforniaWinesandWineries.com.
All right. And you are on Twitter at?
Twitter, I don't really use, but it's Kelly Wine.
I think that's it. I'm Kelly Wine.
Kelly, something like that. I have to go back. I just hit the button that says, yeah, put it on Twitter too. I don't really care.
All right. And Debbie, what about you? What should people do?
I'm working on a article all about rosé.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
It's going to be called, I'll tell you what it's going to be called in a second. Let me bring this up. It is going to be called The Many Faces of Rosé.
Ah, very nice.
And I've got this wine dinner on Wednesday at Kitchen 330 with Bonterra Wine. And next month we're doing Left Coast Cellars, and Taylor is flying in for that.
Very
so that'll
nice.
be really good. And I think that's it, because I can't keep up with myself these days. I think that's what I know what I'm doing at the moment. And you can find me at HudsonValleyWineGoddess.com, and I'm HV Wine Goddess on Twitter and on Instagram, and Hudson Valley Wine Goddess on Facebook.
All right. And I guess our most exciting news is that Monday, October 1st, is our release of our 2016 Cabernet Franc. We are very excited about this, and we're excited about every vintage, but we really like this vintage. Which is what I say every year, like, ooh, this one beats last year, and ooh, this one's better than last year. But yeah, so please, on Wednesday, if you have not signed up for our newsletter, which is just, you'll go to the website, you can sign up for the newsletter, which is dracaenawines.com, and you will get, we're having some little special bonus offers if you order your wine on release day. So sign up for the newsletter so you know exactly what's going on for that. And that will be 1 week from today. So thank you, Debbie, and thank you, Michael, for joining me.
Well, thank you, Lori, for hosting.
Spending your Monday evening with me. So thank you. And
I told you I'd be an outlier.
You were, yes, you did tell me. You did tell me you are a very far outlier from Mike and myself, Michael. You really are. I'm gonna have to go do some research and look at our cellar and find out what our oldest wine is. And I'm probably gonna say it's not that we really meant it to be that old. It's more that we just forgot that it was there.
We have that problem too.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody gave me some time, I would love to go back and put it all in Cellar Tracker, because I started to at one point.
Yeah. So we have it in Cellar Tracker. Now I just got to figure out how to do what Michael's got, where we get the little alerts. But I think in my brain I got it. Now I just have to find time to do it. I just have to find time to do it. But so next month for Wine Writers Wrap Up, it is going to be October 22nd. And I think it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be embarrassing wine moments. So there will be very little of outline for you guys. It's just going to be, let's have some fun and talk about some stupid wine moments that have occurred in our lives.
I've got plenty of stories.
All right, that's what I love to hear, because so do I.
I'll be very embarrassed by the time
we'll need a lot of wine to drink for that night. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, no water that night.
No water, Michael. No more water. Now you know.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, guys. Have a great night. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.